I watched in stunned silence as the city utility crew tore up my perfectly manicured front yard with their excavator. The claw of the massive machine sank deeper into the soil, unearthing pipes that definitely weren't supposed to be there. Frank, the burly crew chief with 2 decades under his belt, turned to me, holding a grimy section of PVC. It branched off my main waterline like a parasitic limb. "This didn't happen overnight," he muttered. "Been leaching water for months, maybe longer, and the meter never lies." The nightmare began 6 months ago when I moved into my dream home in Oakwood Heights, one of those pristine suburbs where the lawns are uniform and the HOA rules rival encyclopedias. I'm David, a work-from-home software engineer who values peace and privacy above all else. My new house was perfect, a modest 2-story colonial with space for a home office and a garage for my woodworking hobby. The neighbors had seemed pleasant enough. During my walkthrough, they waved from their driveways with polite smiles and welcome gestures. My first few months were blissful. Mornings on the deck, productive days coding, evening walks beneath tree-lined streets. Then came the water bills. The first one made me blink twice. $347 for a single month. I live alone, take short showers, run the dishwasher twice a week, and had swapped in low-flow fixtures. I didn't even have a sprinkler system installed. I figured it was an error, maybe a bad meter reading or a clerical issue. After 45 painful minutes on hold with the utility company, I was assured the reading was accurate. A possible leak, they suggested. I called a plumber, shelled out $200 for an inspection, and he found nothing. Then came the next month's bill, $412. I was furious. At the next HOA meeting, held in a stuffy community center that reeked of old coffee and resignation, I raised my concern. "Has anyone else noticed unusually high water bills?" I asked. Karen Petton, the HOA president, barely glanced up from her stack of violation notices. 8 years running unopposed, she looked like suburban royalty, mid-50s, stiff blazer, perfectly styled blonde hair that mocked both gravity and humidity. Her voice, sharp and dismissive, cut through the room. "Water bills here reflect system averages. Perhaps you're just unfamiliar with the cost of maintaining property in a community of this caliber." Several board members nodded like trained seals. One elderly neighbor, Harold, looked like he might chime in, but lowered his hand after catching Karen's glare. The message was crystal clear: don't rock the boat in Oakwood Heights. I kept paying the outrageous bills while quietly investigating. Then came the drought. The city imposed watering restrictions, twice a week before 7 a.m. Lawns browned, flower beds wilted, the community Facebook page filled with complaints and mulch advice. But Karen's yard? Still lush, still green. Her roses bloomed defiantly. Her decorative fountain gurgled cheerfully. Something didn't add up. Late one sleepless night, after another jaw-dropping $500 bill, I took a walk. It was just past midnight. The neighborhood was silent, except for the hum of air conditioners fighting the July heat. As I passed Karen's property, I heard it, the unmistakable sound of running water. Not a drip, steady, purposeful flow. I followed the noise to the side of her house, careful to stay on the sidewalk. Through a gap in her oversized hydrangea bushes, I spotted it. A thick, commercial-grade garden hose snaking along the fence. But it didn't connect to her house. It disappeared into the ground, near my property line. My hands trembled as I snapped photos with my phone. The pieces were starting to fit. I called Mike Sullivan the next morning, the most trusted plumber in 3 counties. He showed up that afternoon with all the gear: a pipe locator, a scope camera, and 35 years of no-nonsense experience. "David," he said grimly, "you've been tapped. Someone hacked into your main water line." He showed me video from the scope, clear as day. A janky T-joint spliced off my service line. It ran underground right towards Karen's lot. "This didn't just happen overnight," Mike said. "Been leaching water for months, maybe longer, and the meter never lies." I contacted the city utility department. Within 24 hours, inspectors and investigators swarmed my yard. It became a scene straight out of CSI Suburbia. They unearthed over 100 feet of buried PVC connecting my waterline to Karen's in-ground irrigation system. No permits, no licensed work, just a secret valve in her garage controlling the flow. The utility company estimated thousands of gallons had been siphoned over 6 months. The city widened the investigation. No permits were ever filed, no HOA records of shared lines. A neighbor's security cam revealed a sketchy, unmarked van parked between our homes late one night, exactly when my high bills began. Karen panicked. She tried calling an emergency HOA meeting, claiming the pipe was a shared legacy irrigation line for community landscaping. But when pressed, neither she nor the HOA could produce a single supporting document. Her composure crumbled. She accused me of fabricating evidence, of trying to tarnish her reputation. But the evidence was stacked like bricks. The police filed criminal charges, utility theft and property damage. The city levied fines on both Karen and the HOA. My attorney, Lisa Thompson, sharp as a tack, filed a civil suit. The discovery phase revealed even more. Karen was deep in debt, her husband's business bankrupt, their mortgage behind. HOA funds? Full of landscaping expenses that didn't match any work done. At the City Hall hearing, the room was packed. Dozens of neighbors showed up, some holding their own bloated bills. I laid out everything: photos, reports, billing records, expert testimony. Karen's lawyer tried to claim it was all a misunderstanding, that the setup predated her. But then Patricia Gonzalez, the city's lead inspector, delivered the killing blow. Metadata from Karen's computer. She had searched how to tap water lines and evade detection just weeks before the pipe appeared. The judge didn't hesitate. The HOA owed me $10,347 in damages. Karen was fined $5,000 personally and sentenced to 200 hours of community service. But the judge's words hurt her most. Your abuse of authority and breach of public trust permanently disqualify you from any community leadership role. The HOA board voted that very night to remove her. The moment the decision was read, Karen snapped. Her face went from red to pale to purple. She stood, knocked over her chair, and pointed at me with trembling fury. "You've ruined everything," she screamed. "This whole neighborhood will collapse without me." Security escorted her out as her voice cracked, her perfect hair finally surrendering to sweat, stress, and gravity. The last thing I heard as the doors shut, with her shrieking about falling property values.